founder and chief person at American Truth Project. We have so much to cover today with so many famous people in the news. All of it is crappy, but that's our job. Educate you, because you don't get this news from, as Will calls them, government state media. So true.
Yep. A lot of people don't know what that means either, though, which is interesting.
Well, why don't you define it real quick?
Well, I mean, the government state media is the media that is controlled, of course, by the government. Sadly, I mean, you would think people would gather that. But originally, the way I found out about it is that during the 1940s in Germany, they had the media there was completely controlled by the government, and they push out a certain narrative. And if any media outlet, newspaper during that time, if they went and they deviated away from what the government was telling them to put out, they would shut them down and even be killed. So the government state media today, they're pushing what the government is saying, and we see it happening. So it's really fitting. And Barry, I really like it when I go out and I do man on the street sometimes and I see these government state media outlets. I'll call them government state media to their face, and they'll just look at me because they know what it is.
That is amazing, because when you started using that term, honestly, I had never heard of it. And then you start looking at how things are censored and how the government is involved, and you think, oh my God, it is, and I hate to say it, but Joseph Goebbels, and you've pointed this out many times, was Hitler's propaganda minister. And Joseph Goebbels said repeatedly, give me control of the press, media, and I can make the people into sheep. And that's what they did. And if you happen to step out of line, it was a one-way ticket to a concentration camp, and the paper got burned.
Yep, that's if you made it to the camp.
Yeah, or they just came in and shot everybody and burned the offices. And you know what? The other 5 newspapers, they got the message pretty darn quick.
Yep.
And now it's alternative media. There's the Will Johnsons and the Barrys of the world that are putting out the news that we're gathering through hard work. And then you wonder, and I say this to people all the time, they say to me, why didn't I know about this? And I go, where do you get your news? CBS, MSNBC. Oh my God, that's like the propaganda ministry of the government.
Yep. So
let's start out with a perfect example, and you're not going to believe where this example comes from. Hold on to your britches. This is off MSNBC, and it is the most truthful thing I've ever seen on that godforsaken network, and I mean that literally. There is no God at MSNBC, and most of their news is like, what? This is an exception. Please check this video out.
To be one of your pet peeves, and that is, 2 million people have been killed in the Sudan civil war. I haven't seen a protest in NYU for that. Assad killed 500 Arabs. I didn't see colleges burned down. 500,000 Arabs killed by Assad. Saddam Hussein killed over 1 million Muslims in wars. I gassed them. I didn't see protests there. And yet your school is shut down right now because Israel is responding to the worst attack against Jews worldwide since the Holocaust. Help us sort through that.
And we can debate that response.
I don't know algebra, but I'm pretty good at the common denominators here and why there's no common denominators in all of these. It's just that it's Jews defending their homeland. Because if you look at the numbers, even with American wars, they don't add up.
Well, first off, good to be with you, and I especially appreciate your leadership on this issue. I'll give you some more numbers. 2,200 American servicemen killed at Pearl Harbor. We go on to kill 3.5 million Japanese, including 100,000 in one night. 2,800 Americans in 9/11. We go on to kill 400,000 people in Afghanistan and Iraq. We weren't accused of genocide. You had, if Mexico had elected a jihadist cartel to run their country, and then they incurred into Texas, and on a per capita basis killed 35,000 people, or the population of the University of Texas, and on the way back took the freshman class at SMU hostage and hid them under tunnels, what would we do? It'd be the great Sonora radioactive parking lot. But Jews are not allowed, and Israel is not allowed to prosecute a war. And they are prosecuting a war more humanely than we have done. The ratio of combatants to civilians is, of civilian death to combatant mortality is lower than it was in Mosul, lower than it was in Japan, lower than it was in Germany. So there's just a different standard for Jews in Israel when it comes to prosecuting a war. They're allowed to fight back to a truce, but unlike America or any other Western nation that is attacked this viciously, they're not allowed to win a war. It's a double standard.
With the exception of Mika having to undermine what was being said. Well, we can debate that. She's an idiot, as if what Israel's doing in Gaza is debatable, because she just can't stand the thought of what her husband is saying as the anchor on Morning Joe and what the guest is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is fighting the most humane, ethical, responsive war maybe in documented world history. And you heard the numbers. 2,200 American sailors were killed at Pearl Harbor. We killed 3.5 million Japanese.
Yep.
In response.
Yep.
Even 100,000 in one night when we firebombed Tokyo. 2,800 Americans were killed on September 11th. We killed 400,000 in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yep.
Did anybody, I mean, you're the father, you're the son, I should say, of a military family. Did anybody accuse your dad of being a genocidal maniac?
No, well, I mean, he actually served in Vietnam, and the left, they hated him during that time, when he came back. But you know what, Barry? There was a statement where they're talking about if there was a jihadist that took over the government in Mexico and was sending their terrorists into Texas. That's actually happening. Not so much the jihadists, but they are sending terrorists into Texas across the southern border. The difference now is that this regime that is in the U.S. government, they're doing nothing about it. They want the chaos here in the United States of America. It's like they need the chaos. They need a reason to possibly call for martial law. They need a reason. They're gearing it up. I'm telling you, I hope this never happens. But when you have the FBI director, Christopher Wray, put out a statement saying that we are on the verge of another next 9/11 in the United States of America, not because of an airplane, but because of all the terrorists that have crossed the southern border.
But we didn't invite the bombing of the World Trade Center.
No.
Both times.
No.
We have opened the border and invited in over millions.
Yes.
And there were a dozen people that changed the world on 9/11.
Yes.
A dozen from Saudi Arabia mostly. And that changed our entire way of life. You used to be able to walk on a plane. No check. You
didn't have to take your shoes off.
I mean, the world is different, and the differences we as a country have caused this. We've invited this in. And so anyone that says, "Well, this is like 9/11," no, it's not. Unless we had a terrorist training camp for people to learn how to fly jumbo jets and then turned them loose so they could destroy New York and the Pentagon and crash a plane in Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
I just wanted to make it clear. Sometimes even Morning Joe gets it right.
Yeah, sometimes. Hey, let me just say, let me give a shout out to Mendez. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Mendez in the chat asked for a shout out. They come in every Thursday, and I want to say hello to Sherry. I want to say hello to Jamie as well as Lewis. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm not sure what the other one is, but thank you so much for tuning in. Just want to give some shout outs there. And I do look at the comments. I do look at the comments as we're going along. So,
Well, there's two of us here, and one of us can read. That guy's name is Will.
no, I'm terrible with names. I will butcher a name like no tomorrow, but pretty good. And David, what's going on, David? Yeah, I got you too. I see you, David. He says,
Nice
"Well, what
job.
about me? Let's go."
Let
me say this. If you haven't already and you're watching, please go ahead and hit the share button on this. Hit the share button on this, because you hit the share button on this, and also hit the heart emoji. Hit the heart emoji, show some love, and please share this video. Let's get this information out. More and more people need to hear the information that's coming from American Truth Project right here.
Well said. And I might add, if you go to Unite America First, you can sign up for Will Johnson's mailer. It's free. You get all of Will Johnson till you're going to have Will Johnson coming out of your ears. And if you go to American Truth Project, it's a whole lot of us, and you'll get a dozen videos every couple of days, and we do it for free. Sign up for free. Findberry.com takes you to American Truth Project. Unite America First takes you to Will Johnson. And like I said, we don't charge for our content. There's a lady on the far left, normally politically, named Chelsea Handler. I used to think she was funny till she went woke. But because she's Jewish, her shows are being interrupted by people that scream at her from the audience. In other words, they buy a ticket and then screw it up for everybody else that's there. There's a video out, which I'm not going to show the whole video, but she's in the middle of her show, and this lady stands up in the audience and starts shouting at Chelsea, in case you forget what she looks like. This is Chelsea Handler. And the lady starts shouting, "You're a murderer. You're a mass murderer." And Chelsea is heard to hear on the video, "I can't hear you." And then the lady starts screaming it. And Chelsea says, "Honey, please, this is not what this this night is for," meaning it's about comedy. And then she had the lady removed from her show. Way to go. Nice job. If the IDF is really committing mass murder, and that's what they really wanted, they could have wiped out Gaza in 6 minutes. And I mean literally 6 minutes, and reduced the entire conclave to a parking lot of glass. Instead, here's what Israel's done. 14 million leaflets have been dropped. 14 million. In other words, 7 million leaflets per person, advising people where to move to be safe. 6 million text messages have been sent. 4 million phone calls have been made to the cell phones there, advising people where to go so they can be safe. It is the lowest death count of civilians to combatants in world history. So Chelsea's right. Go away. Get out of my show. The truth is, it is the most humane war ever. And like you said, if jihadis poured over the border like they are and started blowing things up, we wouldn't take it. And if the UN said, "United States, stand down, poor Mexico, poor cartels, they don't have a lot of weapons, but you do," I can imagine what the Congress would do. It would be your number one finger going up, and we wouldn't listen again. We'd veto everything at the United Nations.
Yep.
We wouldn't even let a discussion start, right? And when the squad stood up and started saying, "Oh, the poor cartels," the rest of Congress would be shut up and sit down. And that's what Israel should be doing. Literally should be doing. Your thought?
No, I completely agree. You know, I was hoping you're going to play the video with their screaming at her. I was like, well, I want to see that. You know, a lot of, I know we're going to get into it a little bit here, but just like what's happening with these colleges and how the left is now, it's almost like they're turning on themselves, right? I mean, is that what we're seeing here? They push such hatred towards people that love America, love freedom, believe in God, and now it's like it's getting flipped on them. So I mean, I've seen her before, but I never watch her content, or keep up with her at all. But you said she is a liberal, right?
Oh yeah.
And so she's a hardcore liberal, and now they're turning on him.
Well, because she's Jewish.
Because she's Jewish. So Barry, so does this mean that she's gonna stop being a liberal? Or is a light bulb gonna go off somewhere saying there's something wrong here?
Like Bill Maher waking up going, "Hey, I'm still a liberal." I don't know who those people are.
Yeah,
liberal didn't used to be a bad word. John Kennedy was a liberal. He'd be a Republican today.
Yeah, true. I mean, Joe Rogan, he's a Bernie bro. He's waking up a lot. I mean, so these people that claim to be highly intelligent, now they're starting to wake up that maybe they weren't so intelligent by supporting these people that's wanting to destroy everything that they've worked for.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Let's talk about one of the liberal favorite darlings. This is a guy named Motaz Azazi. He worked for UNRWA. Then he became a volunteer photojournalist. Then he became a photojournalist. He is an international media darling. He's on Al Jazeera, NBC News, CNN, the New York Times, The Guardian, and more. Let me show you what he looks like. As you can see there, GQ named him Man of the Year for his fearless dedication to the Palestinian resistance. So what that means is the Palestinian resistance is 100% supported by GQ. The problem is this guy, in addition to being named one of the most top 100 influential people in the world by Time magazine, is a raging anti-Israel, anti-Jew, hating guy from Gaza. On October 7th, he was glorifying the Palestinian genocide. He is one of the top influencers online. He has posted horrible stuff glorifying animal cruelty.
Yep, I've seen it. I've seen him.
This guy is horrible.
He's so propaganda. Sorry to cut you off there. He's so much propaganda. I've seen his videos all over X, and he's trying to act like he's just there and innocent, reporting on the news and bystander. I'm just in the deep of it. And he's pushing propaganda just like the government state media did in the 1940s. I mean, it's the exact same thing. He's following the playbook.
The difference is that all of these sources that disseminate news, NBC News, right? Al Jazeera, well, we know where Al Jazeera is. That's the Qatari propaganda ministry, right?
Yep.
No wonder Israel just kicked him out of the country. But CNN, New York Times, The Guardian, these are international news agencies, and they put this guy on the air all the time, named him Man of the Year, and he glorified the October 7th massacre as resistance. That's how biased these news sources are.
So is he screaming he's Hamas too?
I don't know if he's.
I mean, might as well be.
He's that close to it right now, Will Johnson.
He might as well be.
He's that close. Absolutely. And the question is, at what point do these news platforms wake up and go, "Oh, that guy's basically a Nazi. Maybe we want to give him a little less time." Time magazine names him Man of the Year. GQ did. Oh my gosh. Time magazine has him one of the top 100 people in the world.
Yeah.
And we know about UNRWA, which took billions of dollars and let Hamas build their missile platforms in the middle of the UNRWA schools, in the middle of the UNRWA properties, in the middle of the UNRWA training facilities, and then said, "Oh, we didn't know rockets were being fired from our courtyard."
I mean, come on, yeah, really,
and storing.
So they didn't hear them.
This and that in the storage closet.
Yeah, they didn't hear the rockets going off. Oh, what was that? This just a tornado. Oh, just an earthquake. Oh no, that's just thunder. Really? Associated Press did the exact same thing. The building that they were in, oh, we didn't know that they were shooting rockets from the top, from the roof of the building. How do we didn't know?
And
So
when
wait,
Israel blew up the building,
so
AP
Barry,
went crazy.
so Barry, when they were traveling up the steps or the elevator holding the rocket, no one noticed. I mean, it's like a comical skit. I mean, really? Here's a rocket. Allah Akbar. I mean, can I say that? Okay. You know, and they're taking a rocket, going up to the roof, and they didn't know. They can hear it, but they didn't know. I mean, really? Really?
To Israel's credit, they called the building and they called Associated Press and said, you better evacuate. If it was me and I was running the army, I would have just blown it up. Oh, I see the rocket launch. Let's hit it.
Yep.
They would have dropped the building with everybody.
And I think that's part of the. I think is, you know what, Barry, and I'm glad you bring that up. And I think Israel, they kind of need to stop doing that. I mean seriously, because they drop leaflets, thousands and thousands, if not billions of leaflets by now. I'm pretty sure they're dropping all these leaflets, giving them warning, but they're giving Hamas warning as well, and they're giving Hezbollah warning. They're giving all these other terrorist organizations warning that we're getting ready to come take it out, and all they do is move their location to another location.
Oh yeah,
and they take out that location.
They're portable. You can move them in 10
yes
minutes.
And then what Hamas and Hezbollah and all the other ones, what they would do is they would force innocent bystanders to remain in place. They would force them there.
There are thousands of pictures of them lining up 6-year-olds in front of the launchers.
Yes, they force them.
And then they take a picture of it and they post it on social media, daring Israel to blow the rocket up, which of course Israel won't.
But the other places where they remove the rockets and they still force innocent bystanders to be there. So then Israel takes the location out and they say, oh my goodness, look, they killed these innocent people, the innocent people. And then you have that guy, which you just showed, going out there. He shows up immediately after, because, you know, they got the memo with the leaflet. He shows up minutes after. Oh my goodness, Israel is committing genocide. They just blew up this place, this building, and had innocent people in it. There was no reason for them to do it. It's
100% true.
It's propaganda. Hey, let me really quick. Joseph says, where can I get that hat? And he also makes a statement saying Bill says that he's still going to vote for Joe Biden, which I wouldn't be surprised by that. Bill Mark, he's more likely still going to vote for Joe Biden. But Joseph is asking Barry, where can he get that hat?
Amazon, $12. They have thousands of them.
Okay, I was hoping that I was hoping it was on American Truth Project.
I should put it on on our shop. It's like this tag that Will wears, that I wear, that Claire Lopez wears, that everybody in Israel's wearing. Bring our hostages home, especially during Passover, which, as Christians know, was the Last Supper. Now is the time to let my people go, because that's what Passover is about.
Yes.
And it needs to be a reminder to everybody. Here's an interesting story out of Saudi Arabia. It's come out in the last few days that when the monster, and I mean that literally, the monster missile attack came from Iran, the biggest in world history in a single day of missiles, rockets, and drones, Saudi Arabia, and this goes back to everything Trump did, I give Trump the credit for this, had opened up lines of communication with the Saudi royal family to say, your enemy is our enemy, we should be friends. Saudi Arabia apparently shot down a bunch of missiles going over their territory, and that's according to MBS, who is the crown prince who basically runs Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. He says that, as the basic head of the ruling dynasty there, because the king is very, very ill and he's very, very old. As we know, 99% of all the rockets, missiles, and drones were shot down. Apparently, a bunch of them by MBS authorizing it to not cross Saudi territory. So Saudi Arabia has subtly acknowledged that they were involved in preventing these drones from crossing their territory, and in effect sided with Israel, the United States, with Jordan, France, and Great Britain against Iran. Holy moly, that's big news.
Yes, I mean, it really is. It really is. I thought Iran actually talked to all of these nations saying, hey, because they get permission for these drones to go over, but Saudi Arabia didn't agree apparently,
Well,
and they shot them down. So where does this put Saudi Arabia and Iran?
Well,
are they upset with them now?
Keep in mind that there's a very big religious difference between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran is the head of the more extreme branch of Islam, and Saudi Arabia, the more, I would say, subtle branch. But then again, the Sunnis in Saudi Arabia are the ones that blew up the World Trade Center twice.
Yeah. So this is the Shiites and the Sunnis, right? We're talking
the
difference
Shiites
between
are in Iran. They hate the Sunnis, and the Sunnis are in Saudi Arabia, and they hate the Shiites. And very often, like in the big war in the 80s between Iran and Iraq, it was Sunni versus Shiite. And Iran has tried to bridge that gap. They did have meetings with Saudi Arabia. They opened lines of communication, but when it went to possibly destroying Israel, Saudi Arabia under MBS sided with Israel. Hard to believe.
Wow.
I give Trump the credit for it because he opened those channels of communication.
Sure did.
And if he came back, like he may in a few months, he says, and he said it, he will bring Saudi Arabia into the Abraham Accords. And if that happens, Iran will be isolated. Big news. Big news.
Yeah, that's actually good news.
Absolutely. Speaking of big news, if you know who this lady is, you win a quarter. Any idea?
She's the daughter of a tyrant.
Bing, 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 bing,
yeah,
bing,
all right,
bing.
I get a quarter.
That is Ilhan Omar's daughter, Isra Hirsi. That's her before she was arrested and thrown out of college. There's a number of. I'll keep her picture up so people can memorize that.
Who's the father? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's going to be a special segment in the future.
Okay.
That if we put it out, it'll be probably online for somewhere between 6 and 9 seconds before it gets taken down. I mean, there's people have alleged that.
Yeah, I get it.
That Ilhan Omar married her brother, so I'm not going to go into that.
Right.
Anyway, the daughter goes to Barnard College, which is the women's school at Columbia, and she was suspended for outrageous behavior, demonstrating, refusing to disperse, protesting the Palestinian genocide. There's a lot of videos out of her screaming on a microphone. She's calling for an intifada, which is murder of Jews in Israel. She said she's one of the organizers of Students for Justice in Palestine, which is a hate group that promotes intifada. So I don't want you to think that pretty face is anything other than a communist jihad revolutionary like her mother. And she went on a news show, which I was thinking about putting on, where she was crying that because she got kicked out of her dorm, she has nowhere to sleep and she doesn't have any food. Poor her. Meanwhile, her mother's making zillions.
So now she's homeless?
She wants people to donate to her.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
There's a video on this with her crying and asking and begging for money?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to play it, right?
No, I don't have it. I figured it would. I didn't want to elicit any sympathy.
Oh my goodness! Now you're gonna make me go hunt that video down.
Well, when she's talking about, I don't have anywhere to live and I don't have any food, and then she goes, and I'm hungry.
Oh my goodness! Now, I heard that she was complaining, talking about now she's homeless, right. But I didn't know there was a video. I thought it was just a statement. Oh my goodness!
Well, go check it out. That's her. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Her mom, Ilhan, has been all over the news. So proud of her revolutionary daughter. You know, one quick question before we move on. Why do people come to a country? This is a real question. I want an answer. That they hate so much that they go to demonstrations about destroying America, and they nearly killed themselves to get here. And then we gave them housing, we gave them education, we gave them health care, right? We gave them citizenship. Will they frickin' hate you and me and our country, the flag behind me? They want to tear it all down. They want to burn it to the ground. They talk about it at demonstrations. Why'd they come here instead of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, it's a question.
And, you know, and
Why?
they're actually talking about, can I say it? You know,
Go for it.
D to America. Can I say it like that?
Well, they're calling it.
I mean, they're straight up saying it to America. America needs to go away. They want to. They're not even hiding the fact that they want to destroy America. And these same people now screaming, saying that they are now Hamas. They're saying that they are Hamas. And there's video after video of them saying that they want to destroy this country. And you know what I don't understand, Barry?
What's that?
How is that not a terrorist threat? How come the feds haven't paid them a visit? And if the feds have paid them a visit, how come they didn't record it and put the video out like they've done all the rest?
Well, let me quote to you the president of Harvard. It depends on the context, Will Jones.
Oh my goodness. It's like Ilhan Omar saying, well, they didn't have any actual signs saying that they want to destroy Israel. So it's not the same.
Wait a minute. Hold it. Absolutely not true. If you look at the videos at Columbia, at Harvard, at the University of Texas, today, they're saying they want to destroy Israel.
I know.
They wanted to destroy
But Ilhan Omar, she on Capitol Hill saying, well, there's no signs what they're saying that. So, you know, that just because there's no signs, it doesn't mean it. It's just them expressing their peaceful freedom of speech. And then it's freedom of speech when they're calling death of Israel, right? It's freedom of speech then because there's no actual billboard, there's no sign, no one's holding a piece of paper saying it. So it's okay.
Okay, my answer to quote Will Johnson is that's the same as BDS burning down cities, and people are saying it's just a peaceful demonstration.
Yeah,
they're just exercising their First Amendment right to destroy Philadelphia and Los Angeles and New York and Detroit, right, and St. Louis.
Yeah, but and her daughter showing up after they told her not to show up. She showed up on purpose just so she can get arrested, just so she can bring more attention to it. And now this whole thing has exploded because the Ilhan Omar, she goes out there again and speaking her hatred towards Israel. And this whole thing's exploding on these college campuses. And now they're calling, Barry, you know what's really remarkable about this? Is that you have the government state media, both on MSDNC and CNN, ABC, CBS, the entire Alphabet Network soup group. They're all saying that, you know, they didn't really have to bring in the police department like this because now the police department is really intimidating the students. They didn't have to bring this military presence in to confront these people who are simply peacefully protesting. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, they're burning stuff, Barry. They're actually physically attacking people. They're calling for soldiers to be killed. They're calling for the destruction of America. But again, it's mostly peaceful.
Yeah. Let's talk about peacefulness in America. This is an interesting story. I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Phil. He's had a number of shows lately.
I'm surprised they're allowing him to stay on. I'm just saying. I know. Yeah. I'm surprised.
This is Dr. Phil. And he did a show the other day about these squatters that are breaking into houses, changing the locks. And then when the owner comes home and says, what the frick are you doing in my house? The squatters push them away. And when the police come, in many states, the police say there's nothing they can do about it. Now, I've always been very curious as to what squatters say justifies their right to, like, let's say you and the family go to Six Flags for the day and you come home and there's like 19 people in your house and 5 cars in the front yard all over your lawn, and they change the locks, you know, and you'd call the police. Somebody broke into my house, and the police would come and the guy would answer the door. Yes, sir. Oh, I have a verbal lease with Mr. Johnson for the next 3 months. And you couldn't go into your house. Well, I've always wondered how people justify this. So Dr. Phil brings on this moron. Her name is Christine. She's a real estate agent. She thinks squatting is not amoral. She said because people with no housing are dying. And a person in possession of the land owned by somebody else can figure out how to get that land away from them. And she said, and if it's $1 million home, they should be able to go in there and take something. And Dr. Phil just couldn't believe what she was saying. So Dr. Phil says, you mean if I've got 1,000 acres and someone comes and gets a corner of it and adversely possesses 5 acres, I'm not going to miss it? And she goes, well, yeah. And he says, I know what 5 acres is. I'm not giving away my property. This is not 1776. It's 2024. And he went crazy on her. And she said, well, I'm not worth $1 billion, but if somebody's really rich, they ought to be able to give to someone who's taking it from them.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Is that socialism? It sure sounds like that to me.
It's communism. They're coming in, taking from the people who worked hard because of capitalism, worked hard, saved their money, trying to keep the lights on, just to have someone that's not working come in and take everything from them. And then you have these woke people on the left come in and say, well, nope, you can't kick them out. Well, I don't have to worry about it happening here if I took a day trip to Six Flags because I live in Texas. I live in Texas. So if I come home and someone, you know, and they're squatting in my home, I get to stand my ground. That's how I'm going to put it out there.
Well, I'll tell you something, and God bless Governor Abbott, but you know, Governor DeSantis in Florida said if you come home to that and you shoot the guy, okay. Okay. And he's warning people. People in Florida have guns.
Yes.
Don't go into anybody's
Same
house
thing in
unless you
Texas.
expect to get shot.
Same thing in Texas. People, I mean, you know what, Barry, our world is upside down. What was once considered good is now considered evil. And what was once considered evil is now considered good. Everything is flipped upside down. When I see these videos of these squatters going in there and these ladies like, this is my home. And the police show up and the police go, well, there's not much we can do about this because they say not even producing no documentation that they've even rented the location, nothing, just they're going based on their word that, yeah, they're here for 6 months or a year and they've already paid. They can't show any receipts, nothing. And the police officers side with the squatters.
Well, you know why?
Everything is upside down.
They're being told by their left-wing screwball city council and district attorney, we're not going to prosecute these cases because rich people have enough already. What happened to freedom in America? What happened to capitalism? What happened to free enterprise? What happened to property rights? These are all protected under the Constitution, and we're ignoring it.
And they're doing it behind gated communities.
Oh yeah.
You're doing it behind gated community. So I really, again, there's another reason why I don't have to worry about it. I'm not in a gated community. I'm not rich.
All right, I got a wild one for you. As a Christian, I want you to calm down in advance.
Okay.
I can't believe what I saw when I saw it. Take a breath, belly breathe, lower your blood pressure in advance.
Okay.
The last thing I want to do is give you a stroke. Almost all city councils, before they have their meetings, especially if it's the start of a month or whatever, will invite in a man of God to make a prayer that they follow the law, they protect people, they act in good conscience and good faith, they treat each other, with brotherhood, the Judeo-Christian biblical admonitions. And I think starting a meeting like that puts everybody in the right frame of mind. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what yours is. But, when I ran public meetings, when I was in government, I liked that. I also like Pledge of Allegiances, because you're reminded of the blessings of this country and the freedoms of this country. I'm going to show you something. Hold on to your desk. I don't want you to hit the floor. This is the New York City Council meeting the other day. They invited in to celebrate diversity an imam named Abdulazoku Traore of the Darul Salam Islamic community. He started the city council with this prayer. Stand by.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما
All right, this goes on for about another 5 minutes, and you don't know what the hell he's saying, and nobody in the audience knows what he's saying. Let me tell you what he's saying. I've got the translation. OMG. You ready? The prayer is called Al-Fatiha. It's the first chapter of the Quran. It's the most common prayer in Islam. The Fatiha is recited 17 times a day by the very religious. Here's what it does. Praises Allah as the Lord of the world. Demonizes the Jews as those that have earned Allah's anger. And demonizes Christians who have gone astray. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was the mastermind of 9/11, and he said, "We will win because Americans don't realize we do not need to defeat you militarily. We need to fight you only long enough for you to defeat yourselves by quitting." Large-scale attacks such as 9/11 were nice, but not necessary, because our jihadi-minded brothers will immigrate into the United States and wrap themselves in America's rights and laws until they're strong enough to rise up. This is progressivism, where Allah is declared the Lord of the world over the United States and over the Jews and the Christians who are not the faithful. If that was translated, would the brain dead New York City Council have allowed that prayer if it was in English?
Probably.
Oh gosh.
Because we're talking about leftists, we're talking about liberals. That's the reason why it happened in the first place. Liberalism, they hate. So you have different religions in the world, but there's two that's at the top of the list that the left hates. Okay. Or not even religion. You're talking about a lifestyle, because it's not even really come down to religion, because being a Jewish person is not a religion. It's a lifestyle. It's who you are. Same thing with Christianity is who you are. It's a lifestyle that you live. That's the two that they hate. They hate it above all. Why? Because the two, Judaism, if I can get it out, Judaism and Christianity they're locked together. Regardless on how people look at it, they're locked together. My Bible completely is talking about Jesus Christ. We can go down the list of who Jesus was. We don't have to, because everyone already knows. They're locked together. The left, they hate that. Why? Because they represent the true living God.
So let me stop you 1 second. 1 second. Let me ask you a question. If a Christian preacher stood in front of them and said, Jesus is the way to God,
they cut his mic off.
And those of you that are non-believers have no entrance into heaven, which is what Jesus taught, what would happen? You think they just cut him off?
They cut his mic off.
That's what this guy said, but he said it in Arabic, so it just sounded like
it just yeah. But
they're all there with their heads bowed,
even
their eyes closed.
But Barry, even if he was saying that in English, they would not cut the mic off. But as soon as you talk about the true living God of Israel, they will cut the mic off. That's the reason why. That's part of the reason, if I can bring this up, it's part of the reason why they hate President Trump so much. Why? Because President Trump was allowing pastors and preachers and even rabbis, which a lot of people don't know, to pray over him in the Oval Office. What is happening here? This is not supposed to be happening. Because President Trump, he understood. President Trump is a smart man. He understood that he is just a man, and he knows that there is a higher power above him, and they cannot stand that. They don't like it. And for this guy to go in and do this prayer again, he could have done it in English. They would embrace it. They would love it. I've said this multiple times too. The Antichrist shows up, went to the Democrat National Convention, and was telling all of them his policies and what he want to do with the direction he wants to take the country and the world. They would give him a standing ovation. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. This is exactly what we've been looking for. This is exactly what we want. They would not reject a single thing of the Antichrist standing before them speaking. So this is nothing.
Well, you're taking this better than I thought you would. I thought you were going to fall over and hit the floor, because when I read what this guy was saying, everybody in that room supposedly belongs to a different path to God, and this guy is saying, "Oh no, not only are you wrong, you're going to hell."
Yeah. I'm surprised.
And
not surprised.
Thank you very much, preacher or imam.
Yeah, Barry, we have to remember we're talking about the same group of people that's not biologists. They don't know what a woman is.
That's true. That's true. So in the past, we have we've spoken extensively about, and I mean this literally, the Empress of Crazy in Congress. And this is who I'm talking about. Mad Max, the 85-year-old, mostly senile Congresswoman from Los Angeles.
It's actually James Brown with a wig.
Yeah, James Brown was looking better in the wig. I actually got a
That's
chance.
true.
I actually met James Brown and spent a lot of time with him once.
That's true.
He was a genius and looked way better in his wig or hair than Maxine does. Because if that thing ever blows off, that's one scary looking broad, baby. So let me tell you what Mad Max has said. She said in Congress that Iran did not attack Israel, that the thousands of rockets, missiles, drones that were knocked down by Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, France, the United States Navy, Great Britain, that was all staged. She said it was a complete fake. She, as a general rule, makes up most of what comes out of her head. I mean, she says the craziest stuff. She's completely bonkers. And I mean that literally. I don't use that word very much, but she's nuts. And said that the Jewish state has no need to retaliate because of a, quote, fake attack from Iran. 320 drones, missiles, and so on.
So who
And
did
if
it?
any
Who
of
did
them
the
had gotten
attack then?
through to a city like Tel Aviv, there would have been hundreds of thousands dead.
Who did the attack? They did it to themselves? Is that what she suggested?
She said it never took place.
It never even happened.
It was faked. It was faked. So she said, there's no reason to give any money to Israel because nobody's attacking them. I mean, if you say something like that, that's completely nuts.
Wow.
That there are thousands and thousands of videos documented. I don't mean like 10, I mean thousands. And all the countries in Europe and the Middle East and Iran have all admitted this happened, okay? And everybody believes it on both sides, except for Mad Max. They keep electing this crazy woman for what, 50 years or something? I don't get it.
I don't get it. You know, but she's completely out of touch as well. Her whole thing is getting President Trump and getting anyone in his cabinet. You know, she's been kind of quiet here lately. I think they told her to be quiet because of all the hateful stuff that she was saying. But then all of a sudden, when she comes out dumber than ever.
And you know what? When she started making the speech, Ilhan Omar stormed out of the Congress. She was in the same meeting because she said she was so horrified.
Wait a minute. So Ilhan Omar got upset with Mad Max?
No. Quite the opposite. What she said was, let me pull it up here. I apologize. It wasn't Ilhan Omar. It was Rashida Tlaib stormed out of the meeting because other congressmen were arguing with Mad Max saying, no, that's not true. Israel could have been destroyed over the weekend. And Rashida Tlaib got so upset that anyone was siding with Israel, she stormed out and left the Congress. So she left Maxine behind to carry this story along, making it up as she went along.
How did we get her to leave the United States of America?
I'm willing to host a fundraiser. I know you are too.
One-way ticket.
We'll buy her a ticket.
Woman first class.
I wonder how she'd survive in Gaza. Yeah, she doesn't want to go.
No.
We already know that.
No.
Here's my weekly John Fetterman update. For those of you that don't remember, John Fetterman got elected to the Senate, had a stroke, was barely able to talk, had some great rehab, I guess, came out of it and came out of it as I'm no longer a progressive. I mean, there are some benefits to having a stroke if you're from Pennsylvania because he's moved way right.
You know what? He's actually when I started hearing him coming out, because he's a staunch supporter of Israel, and he does not back down. And they're screaming at him, they're angry with him, and they're like, "We supported you," and he's like, "Okay, I'm still
Yep.
not.
And you got me for 5 more years, brother.
Yep.
So check this picture out. This is him at the hearing the other
Oh, look
day.
what he's wearing.
Look what he's wearing around his neck. The
Oh, look at
same thing
that.
that Will Johnson is wearing
Look
and
at
Barry
that.
Nussbaum is wearing. There's millions of them. Bring our hostages home.
Wow. You know, it's just so weird that I have these mixed feelings for this dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
My goodness. Did it maybe he got in there and he
Open the
tricked
gate.
all of the progressives to support him. And now now they're furious with him.
Oh yeah, but
They're
he's
angry with
talking
him.
about it. So listen to what he said. He said the media has to keep a spotlight on the Israeli hostages being held in Gaza. Go down and let him in. God bless him. I'm so proud of him for doing that. So proud of him. He said the hostages must be let go. He keeps pushing hard that Hamas could end all the death, all the destruction, all the misery if it simply surrendered, which is what needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. And I'm so proud of him for doing it. Don't you agree?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm having like mixed feelings about him because
Go downstairs and let in the guy. He's fixing the garage.
These mixed feelings that I'm having for him, because at first I was like, man, this dude is like off his rocker. He's talking about, now he's probably still have some of these, liberal tendencies still in the background right now. But, when he talks about Israel, he acts like he has complete sense. He speaks with complete clarity. And again, it's the mixed feelings. And he has on, the chain, right? Bring him home. I would hope that he just remains this way and stay this way. But you know what? A lot of times when the left find out, Barry, that you are now siding with anything remotely close to those that with common sense, they start rejecting you like no tomorrow. And as that rejection starts building up, what it does is causes people like Fetterman to rethink his position on supporting the nut jobs, because I mean you can obviously see that it's kind of kicking in. I've known many people that were completely on the left, but then when they started dealing and started working in the realm of reality, a group of people don't like him doing that, they start getting attacked. Prime example, me. I consider myself a Democrat until I moved to California, and then I started paying attention to stuff, and I started questioning things. And I guess because I'm black, I was a Democrat. Don't question it, just go with it. And I'm like,
hello, raised in a Democrat household as a Jew.
yeah,
that's what we do.
Yeah, don't question it. Don't question it. So then I started questioning it, and then the attack started happening. I'm like, wait a minute. The side that I thought I was on started attacking me. And then, wait a minute. These attacks are happening. So then I started paying attention more. My eyes started opening up more. And today, I'm going to die as a hardcore conservative Christian MAGA Republican.
Good on you.
And they don't like it.
As Fetterman says, this is my favorite Fetterman quote. Listen to this. I don't know who needs to hear this, but blocking a bridge or berating folks at Starbucks isn't righteous. It just makes you an asshole. And then he went on to say, demand Hamas to send every hostage back home and surrender, and the war is over.
Yep,
right.
It is.
He's right. He's right.
But
Way
they
to
don't
go,
want
John
it to
Fetterman.
end. Yep.
You keep the bracelet on, the same one I'm wearing. Bring the hostages home. I don't want to hear protests that don't demand the same thing. Let's end up on this. You're going to love it. When the Obamas came into the White House, they talked about the fact that they were just poor black folk from Illinois. And they hadn't made much money. He'd been a senator for a few years. She was a mom raising daughters, and then they had 8 years in the White House, right? And over those 8 years, they made a little bit of money, but when they left the White House, they said they were basically broke. I want you to see this quote from Michelle Obama, and then I want to talk about what's on the bottom of the quote. This is hysterical. Quote, someone's going to have to give up a piece of their pie so that someone else can have more. This is her Communist Manifesto. And I want you to look closely at the pictures of their 4 estates. Their Martha's Vineyard mansion is worth 11 plus million. Their Hawaiian mansion is worth nearly 7 million. Their Washington mansion is worth what? 8 million. And their Chicago mansion is worth nearly 2 million. So this doesn't count their cash, their stocks, their plane, whatever.
The book sales, the speaking engagements that they're making.
But now they're worth, they've got $28 million worth of real estate. But as she said, someone's going to have to give up their piece of pie, their piece of the pie, so other people can have more. Now, like we talked about earlier about squatters, they're not in those houses every day, right? You can't be. There are 4 mansions around the country, spread out a lot.
Yep.
From Oahu all the way to Massachusetts. If they came home and there were 30 people living there, would Michelle say, okay, I'm giving up a piece of the pie. You can stay in our $8 million mansion or a $6 million mansion or a $12 million mansion. What do you think?
Oh, the Secret Service, the feds, the ATF, the local police, SWAT, every last one of those organizations would be there. They would even have the IRS there just to make sure these people are paying their taxes. they would have everybody show up to arrest these people. And if they found out they were squatters in today's world, they would keep it all on the hush hush. So if it ever actually happens, Barry, they'll keep it on the hush hush. They'll remove the people.
You can't be right on this because she said you have to give up your piece of the pie. They have a lot of pie.
It's our pie, not theirs.
Oh. Oh, so it's Barry's pie.
Yes. Even though our slice of pie is nothing compared to their pie. They have a whole pie. We have
they are sitting on major pie.
Oh yeah, they're sitting on major pie. They have the whole pie. We just have a sliver of the pie, right? And it's not even part of their pie. The pie that we have is just a slither that we had to get from working hard. And that sliver, they want us to break up that sliver of pie that we have. But their whole pie, oh no. It's a nice golden brown on top of it. And they might even put whipped cream on it.
Oh, you're making me so hungry right now. I love apple pie.
Just just right hint of cinnamon in it. And with a side of ice cream, vanilla ice cream. I'm dying. But it's not their pie. You can't touch their pie. It's our pie that we have to give up.
Well, they've ended up with a lot of pie, Will Johnson, and I'm pretty sure they're not sharing it.
Nope.
And the subtle question that I want to leave everybody with is this. How did they go from broke to 30, 40, $50 million?
Really quick, I can tell you, insider trading, they're all doing it. Really quick, I know we didn't get into it, but this last $60 billion that went to Ukraine, and rumor has it, Barry, that Mike Johnson did it because a group of Republicans went to Mike Johnson and said that if you do not push this through, we're going to side with the Democrats and we're going to give the gavel to Hakeem Jeffries. The reason why I believe that happened is just like Nancy Pelosi and the whole rest of them. They knew that the $60 billion going to Ukraine, they're going to turn right back around and buy arms and buy other supplies from the United States of America. And these politicians, they have stock in these companies. So they're out to make millions and millions of dollars You got to push it through. It's payday for me, because if you don't do it, then we're going to hurt you. It's so much corrupt. It's the biggest money laundering scheme in American history.
You may be right. You may be totally right. And when I see how much money they've pulled out, I'm talking about the Obamas.
Oh yeah, same
leaving
thing.
Broke. It's
I mean,
discouraging.
Barry,
It's very discouraging.
We have places in America that could use that money.
You mean, wait a minute?
Look at Hawaii. Look what happened in Hawaii.
Yeah, like the fire out here.
Look at in Hawaii. What happened in Hawaii? And to my understanding, there's still a great deal of the location that's still damaged. They're not even doing anything.
It looks like it got
Destroyed.
napalmed, and they're living on the beach in tents with families.
But the money needs to go to Ukraine, Barry, not Hawaii, because these are Americans in Hawaii. Can we pretend that they're Ukrainian? Then the money will go there.
Yeah, if you put up a Ukrainian flag on your tent, you'd probably have somebody fly in with a check. But if you're a veteran and you're an American,
yep, you're SOL.
You got it right. Well, great show today, as usual. I will see you next Thursday. I want to remind everybody, findbarry.com will sign you up for American Truth Project. Unite America First will sign you up for Will Johnson. We don't charge for content. They don't charge for content. And you will get all the news you need to hear. All you got to do is open your email. It's just that simple. For this week, bye, y'all.